From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. A professor remains hospitalized after a violent encounter with police officers brutalizes him during a Free Palestine protest at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Southern Illinois University Edwardsville professor Steve Tamari was among those arrested and has sustained multiple injuries, including broken ribs and a hand. His wife, Sandra Tamari, posted a video alleging police brutality. The incident occurred during a demonstration urging the university to divest from Boeing amid Israel's war on Gaza. Police arrested over 100 non-violent protesters. Nationwide, college protests are demanding divestment from Israel and condemning its war on Gaza. The incident follows a similar police crackdown at Columbia University, sparking protests and arrests across the U.S.
In a televised address from the White House, President Joe Biden says that the weeks-long Free Palestine protests on college campuses across the country haven't changed his policy stance on Israel's war on Gaza.
President, have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
No. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you think the National Guard should intervene?
Los Angeles police have forcibly removed a Free Palestine camp at UCLA, dismantling tents and arresting protesters, causing widespread outrage. The selective police action came a day after masked supporters of Israel attacked the camp. LA police did not stop the attackers until 3 a.m., failing to protect nonviolent protesters. The university has canceled classes after the attack. UCLA campus's newspaper, The Daily Bruin, wrote in its editorial that there was blood on the administration's hands. 4 of its reporters were also injured by pro-Israel attackers. This morning, police officers entered the encampment at 1:20 a.m. local time, while students remaining in the encampment shouted, "We're not leaving," and "Who do you protect?" Heavily militarized police equipped with body armor, helmets, and shields dismantled barricades. Flares arced overhead, igniting with piercing blasts, and smoke filled the air. More than 100 students were arrested. The Daily Bruin reports that at least one university professor was also detained. Protesters vowed to continue their movement until the end of what they called a genocide in Palestine. Across the U.S., the Free Palestine movement has faced arrests of hundreds of students on various campuses, starting with Columbia University on April 17th to protest Israel's genocide in Gaza. The U.S. House has approved the bipartisan Antisemitism Awareness Act in a landslide vote of 320 to 91. The legislation directs the Department of Education to adopt a controversial definition of anti-Semitism, sparking concern among progressive Democrats and far-right Republicans. Critics argue the bill wrongly conflates criticism of Israeli policies with hatred toward Jews, thereby stifling free speech on college campuses. Jewish Representative Sarah Jacobs opposed the measure, asserting that anti-Zionism is not inherently anti-Semitic. Hadara Susskind of Americans for Peace Now is accusing the law's supporters of prioritizing political agendas over genuine efforts to combat anti-Semitism. The bill now moves to the Senate, with its fate uncertain amid calls for a more nuanced approach to addressing anti-Semitism. As many as 57 House Democrats have urged President Joe Biden to prevent a potential Israeli assault on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. In a letter led by Congress members Pramila Jayapal and Madeline Dean, they emphasize the dire humanitarian situation in the city. Over 1 million displaced Palestinians by Israel's aggression are struggling with overcrowded shelters in Rafah. The Democrats highlighted previous Israeli strikes there and the devastating toll on civilians, including women and children. Despite global pressure, Biden has resisted cutting off military aid to Israel. The lawmakers warned an assault on Rafah could escalate the war, endanger civilians, and destabilize the region further. They urged Biden to withhold military support to protect civilians and work toward a lasting ceasefire. The letter also notes the Israeli attack risks 130 prisoners, including as many as 6 or more Americans held in Gaza. More than 50% of the construction of a temporary pier off Gaza's coast to deliver humanitarian aid has been completed. Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh says the floating pier has been completely constructed and set up. The causeway is now in progress. Humanitarian aid delivery will begin in early May. The Pentagon announced on March 8 that it would undertake an emergency mission to establish the pier on the Gazan coast to deliver up to 2 million humanitarian aid meals per day. Israel supports the building of this pier, whereas Palestinians and the UN have preferred Israel allow the existing system of aid flow to work. Gaza's civil defense requests equipment to retrieve bodies from debris. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Gaza's civil defense is requesting heavy equipment to remove the bodies of more than 10,000 people trapped under the rubble of homes destroyed in Israeli bombardments. Spokesperson Mahmoud Basal says ongoing efforts in northern Gaza are primarily individual and youth-led initiatives aimed at alleviating the suffering of citizens trapped under the rubble. Basal emphasizes significant appeals from citizens to rescue their children. This has prompted the civil defense to collaborate with citizens and initiators to extract those trapped. Basal said heavy equipment such as excavators, bulldozers, and drills are needed to rescue people and recover dead bodies under the rubble. Volunteer team member Ahmed Al-Rantisi highlighted the team's daily extraction of around 10 bodies from collapsed houses, emphasizing their continuous rescue operations under challenging conditions. Over the past 5 months, he says that the team has extracted approximately 2,500 to 2,700 bodies. An Egyptian company is profiting to the tune of $2 million per day from desperate Palestinians fleeing Israel's war on Gaza. An investigation by Middle East Eye reports that Hala Consulting and Tourism Services holds a monopoly on transfer services at the Rafah crossing, currently the only exit for Palestinians in Gaza. The company charges a minimum of $5,000 for adults and $2,500 for children. In the last 3 months, it has amassed more than $118 million. Profits doubled in April with daily earnings of more than $2 million. That is the same month in which more than 10,000 adults and nearly 3,000 children crossed. If the current trends persist, the company stands to earn more than $500 million by year end. Pro-Palestine groups have launched protests against the participation of Israeli athletes in this year's 33rd Summer Olympic Games in Paris. The event will be held from July 26 to August 11th. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. An interim ruling in January ordered Tel Aviv to stop genocidal acts and take measures to guarantee that humanitarian assistance is provided to civilians in Gaza. Palestinian students forcibly removed a diplomatic delegation from the Palestinian Museum in the West Bank to protest European support for Israel. The delegation, which included members from Germany, faced expulsion as Palestinian anger surged. Social media videos captured the incident, with one student announcing the expulsion of the German ambassador. Amid escalating tensions in the West Bank following Israel's war on Gaza, Germany's steadfast support for Israel, despite public pressure, remains a point of contention. The visit was organized by representatives from various European embassies, including France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Spain, and Germany. Meanwhile, Nicaragua has taken legal action against Germany at the International Court of Justice, accusing it of aiding what it terms as genocide against the people of Gaza. Human Rights Watch has called upon Germany to intensify efforts against anti-Muslim racism following a surge in attacks and hate crimes. The organization highlights the government's inadequacy in protecting Muslims amidst increasing incidents of discrimination. Official statistics reveal a significant increase in Islamophobic incidents, although experts believe the actual numbers could be higher due to underreporting and misclassification. In November, the group documented an average of 3 anti-Muslim incidents a day. Experts attribute the rise in Islamophobic crimes to biased media coverage and far-right propaganda, particularly worsened by Israel's aggression on Palestine. Human Rights Watch urges Germany to implement nationwide monitoring and data collection mechanisms to effectively combat anti-Muslim hate. Germany has the second largest Muslim population in Western Europe after France. An Iraqi refugee and a radical Christian have stirred controversy by requesting permission to burn a copy of the Quran in Malmö, Sweden, just before the Eurovision Song Contest begins on May 7th. Salwan Najm and Jade Sandberg aim to carry out the act in protest against Islam, with Sandberg advocating for a ban on the religion in Sweden. Malmö Police District Chief Petra Stenkula confirmed the request is under consideration, as burning the Quran is not illegal in Sweden. The move echoes a similar incident last year by another Iraqi Christian asylum seeker. Amidst Eurovision preparations, other groups have also sought permits for demonstrations outside the Malmö area. The European Broadcasting Union, which has organized the contest, is also facing criticism for allowing Israel's participation despite its ongoing war on Gaza. Out of Malmö's 350,000 people, 50,000 are Muslim. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has asserted his intention to target between 15 to 20 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. if elected president in November. However, the actual number of undocumented individuals is debated, likely lower than Trump's estimate. In an interview with Time magazine, Trump proposed employing local law enforcement to initiate deportation efforts, particularly targeting criminals among migrants. He also suggested using the National Guard and did not rule out using the military despite legal restrictions. Critics have argued against the militarization of immigration, emphasizing legal and humanitarian concerns. Trump also reiterated unfounded claims linking immigrants to crime, despite contrary evidence. Regarding border security, Trump expressed frustration over past negotiations with Democrats and highlighted his controversial diversion of military funds for border wall construction. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. Your support is needed now more than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.